I met these guys in March. I saw a baseball game in May, and from July for every Saturday, Sunday game for the rest of the season, I'm the stadium DJ. I'm waiting. My manager calls and said, "You're the new stadium DJ for the Hokkaido Nippon Fighters." And so there's one picture that plays A Whole New World from Aladdin. I'm sorry, that's difficult to... I'm the hype man, so it's difficult to announce, but that's what he wants.
Hey there, and thank you for tuning in. We're excited to bring you another great conversation today. If you like the show and want to support us, please hit the subscribe button so we can keep bringing you great content week after week. And if you're feeling extra generous, give this video a like and share your thoughts and comments down below. Thank you so much. And now, let's get into it. Welcome to Unpacking Japan. I'm Toby, and today we welcome from Hokkaido, Malachi. Thank you so much for coming, and we're starting this with a fly right in my face. This is great. Malachi, thank you for coming all the way from Hokkaido today.
Thank you for having me.
You were born in Hokkaido and raised there, and
Yes.
nowadays you work as a sports MC
Yes.
for a variety of sports teams here in Japan. Really cool stories. You've also been on The Bachelorette, which I
Yes,
think
a
a lot
long
of people
time
have
ago, but yes.
questions about. What's it like being on a reality TV show? So we're gonna dive into this. Usually I ask my guests at the beginning, like, what brought them to Japan? But you were born here in Hokkaido.
When I woke up, I was here. I didn't have a choice.
So let me ask you a different question then. What was it like for you growing up in Hokkaido as a foreigner?
So I'm sitting down right now, but I am 6'4" or 193 centimeters, which is tall in any country. And in Japan isn't known for their, tall heights. So I stood out. I was this height from about third year of junior high, which is 9th grade. So I was a big boy. Growing up in Hokkaido, which is the rural part of Japan, there weren't any foreigners. There was Japanese and there was the Evans family. So in my city, everyone knew the Evans family because we were the only white people and we were all very big. Growing up, there was a very distinctive turning point of how people treated me, and that was graduating junior high, 9th grade. From kindergarten through to 9th grade, the way everyone treated us foreigners was they're different, so we don't want to be their friends. So there was a lot of teasing. I've got 5 siblings. We all experienced the same things, but that brought us 5 very close together because we were the only friends we had. Then high school comes. When you're 10th grade, you go to a new high school, and it was 180-degree shift. He's different, so we want to be his friend.
Oh.
It was so obvious. It was interesting, but at that time, having so many years of anti-foreigners, and then all of a sudden you've got so many friends that want to be your friend because the only reason is you're a foreigner. Needed to get used to it, but that was my experience growing up.
So your parents came from Australia to Hokkaido for their work.
Yes.
And you were born and grew up there. What was it like for you language-wise? I imagine at home you were speaking English and then you learned Japanese at school, or...
Yeah, so we went to Japanese school from kindergarten, but during primary school and junior high, we would go to school, regular Japanese school, public school in the morning, and come home and do homeschooling. So my mom taught us all kids English at home through homeschooling. And so we had a double education, at 6, 7, 8 years old. Everyone was playing at the park. I was at home doing my paces, as what we called them. And, I want to go to the park, but no, you have to sit down and do your English study. But because of that, like grammar, spelling, reading, all those you can't pick up just by speaking with your parents. And so I'm grateful now for being, fully bilingual. It's all thanks to mom. But there was also another strict rule where we weren't allowed to speak Japanese at home. So because there's 5 kids, and we all go to Japanese school, Japanese is an easy language. You 100% outside the house, you're speaking Japanese. So coming back into the house, it's just easy to stick with Japanese. But my parents were very strict and firm that we don't speak Japanese at home and make sure we spoke English. But because of that, especially from a young age, in our brains, we had 2 separate languages. And I've got a lot of, in Japan, we call them halfies. where they spoke English to their Western parent and Japanese with their Japanese parent in the home, and it gets jumbled up, and they don't know which language they're speaking. And I had a friend that had a fight with her father at adolescence and didn't speak to him for a long time, but during that time she forgot English, and
Oh,
so
wow.
she's now halfy, but because she didn't speak with her father for a long time, she forgot English. So you hear those different stories. So I'm very grateful that my parents did the way and were very firm of how they taught us English.
You mentioned that going to school, you up until high school, you were perceived as a foreigner, so you kind of identified yourself. You kind of recognized you were also different. And I imagine you maybe have had stories or heard of what school is like in Australia back home. So how did you perceive the school experience in Japan with a language that was kind of your native language, but also not allowed to speak at home, and you were made to feel different, so it maybe felt like it was not the right place for you?
I don't have that many relatives in Australia or other countries, especially the same age that I have gotten to know. And so I don't really know how school life is in other countries. I look like this, but I've never been to an Aussie school. I don't even know, like, all I know of Western schools is what I see in the movies. So everyone has proms and, that kind of stuff. So all I know is Japan. And so, growing up, my family's traveled to Australia a couple times with my dad's work and all that. And I've been to Australia a couple times since, growing up, becoming an adult. But it's not home. Like, you get off the airplane, it's like, welcome to Sydney. I'm like, oh, I've come to a foreign country as a tourist. And then getting on the plane, coming back home, when it says Yokoso Nihon e, like, welcome to Japan. I'm like, yeah, this is where I belong. But as you can see, I'm not Japanese, and this country is 99% Japanese, and so I don't know anywhere else. But I don't walk down the street and people are like, oh, you're Japanese. It's always going to be the foreigner. So every day, at least once a day. I'm not exaggerating. I actually was on a YouTube interview a couple weeks ago, and these kids come up to me and like, wow, where you're from? And I replied to them, well, actually born in Japan. And like, whoa, your Japanese is so good. Or we went to a restaurant together and I ordered my food in Japanese, and the restaurant staff was like, wow, your Japanese is so good. But every day I get, your Japanese is good. And now living here for 30 years and not living anywhere else, it does get tiring, This is my country. I don't know anywhere else. I speak Japanese like a Japanese. I don't have an accent, but getting told every day your Japanese is good, it gets tiring, but that's just the life I've chosen. That's the country I live in, and that's what I get, and that's what I live with.
It's interesting, like how to process this, because you mentioned Japan is 99, I think it's around 98, 99% ethnic Japanese.
Yes.
And only 2.7% of the population, I think that was in the news recently, is foreign. So it's very easy to distinguish between who is ethnically Japanese and who is not. I grew up in France. France is very multicultural.
Yeah.
We've got people coming from background from all over Europe, all over Africa, and all over the world. And so you don't necessarily think like, oh, this person has this look, and therefore he or she is French or not French. But here it's very clear.
Yes.
How do you deal or process that?
So when I was young, it was a big problem, especially younger years in primary school. So there's a word in Japanese called gaijin, which is actually a derogatory word. I think
it depends how it's used. It's short for gaikokujin.
It is. So the original word, gaikokujin, came later. Gaijin was the original word.
Oh.
And it's now a word you're not allowed to use on public airwaves. So you can't say it on TV or radio. Gaijin is a bad word. I'm trying to be politically correct. I don't want to be politically incorrect. But growing up, I was called gaijin a lot. And that was a very big, what do you call it? A switch for me. And I would, full rage. Like, I'm not a gaijin. I was born in Japan. I'm Japanese. But I don't look it, but at a young age, you don't know. Um, and then all five of us siblings, we all went through that identity crisis period where what am I? Who am I? Am I Aussie? But go to Australia, I don't feel at home. I come to Japan, come back to Japan, I feel at home, but I'm not accepted. So what am I? And, third culture, there's different ways of calling it. But we all went through that and we all dealt with it differently. My personality wise, I had fun with it. There's no point in getting upset every time someone comments, your Japanese is good, or you're white, or you're foreigner, or gaijin, or because it happens so often, if you get stuck up with it, if you get upset at it every time, it just drains you. And so, yeah, sure, I said before, it gets tiring being told your Japanese is good every day, but that's not going to change. I'm not setting out into Japan wanting to change. This is a beautiful country. I love this country as it is. And so nothing should change regarding that. But going back, if I get upset every time someone says it, I'm going to be stressed, gray haired for the rest of my life. So I had fun with it. So, wow, your Japanese is good.
Yours too.
Yeah, I say yours too. Or, yeah, I get told that a lot. Why is your Japanese good? I was born and raised in Hokkaido. Wow, okay. Why is your Japanese good? You gotta have fun with it. This country is that kind of country.
It's a conversation starter.
Yeah, no, it is. So yeah, it's a very easy conversation starter.
When you're a kid, you don't understand all of these, and you mentioned identity crisis.
Yeah.
You don't know who you are and how to deal with this, and you have all these other kids around you that look different, maybe treat you differently. There was a switch in high school for you.
Yeah.
And then I imagine also when you graduate high school, you start joining the professional world. So then you become also a coworker.
Mm-hmm.
Did that change kind of I don't want to say integration, but kind of your mindset and life here?
So it's funny. The friends like high school, every day together, I'm speaking Japanese the whole time. So at first they're like, wow, your Japanese is good. But, they get the story and they know you. And so when like English class comes or when a foreign exchange student comes and I speak English, they're like, wow, you speak English. Like for the people that I spend a lot of time with every day, me speaking Japanese becomes such a norm. And so when I do speak English, they're like, we forgot that you speak English. And so the people that I'm close with, the people I spend the most time with, they get over the fact very quickly.
You graduated in 2018, and then you joined the sports bureau.
Yes.
Was it the Hokkaido prefectural?
Prefecture, yes, the government,
bureau?
Yeah.
What did you do there?
So, in Japan, when you get to the fourth grade of university, they have something called a shushoku katsudo, which is everyone wears a black suit. They go to these different seminars, they do different interviews, and they look for that perfect job for them. And in Japan, this is an old idea. I don't think it's as normal now, but the old idea is you enter a company and you're there until you die. I couldn't stand myself doing that. I didn't want to do that. And so my philosophy in life was the perfect job for me will come to me. And so graduating university, I was working at Costco, and I was working at a cafe. Told my manager at the cafe, I'm quitting the cafe because Costco pays better. Okay, see you, Malachi. But the last day or the day before last, I was working at the cafe. A group of adults came and I was serving them. And they're like, wow, your Japanese is good. Thank you, I get that a lot. And they're like, do you speak English as well? I'm a native, I speak English as well. And they're like, okay, we work for the Hokkaido government. Would you like to work with us? And so I was like, yeah, sure, I will. So I called Costco and said, sorry, I'm quitting you guys as well. And I go straight into the Hokkaido bureau in the sports department. And I'm just graduated university, so I'm 22. Not many people can say they work for the government at 22 as a full-time contractor. So I was working with them for about a bit under a year as their interpreter. The Japanese love to use the word interpreter and add many more jobs
That's what's on the paper that you sign.
So on my business card, it says interpreter, but I was doing so much more. I was more like a liaison with different events they're doing. The main focus of the department I was in was raising junior athletes. And so originally they were going to have the Winter Olympics in Sapporo in 2030. And so governments work from way before that to raise Olympians from a young age. So I was working with a couple curling teams, skeleton athletes. That's when you're on a not a single bobsled with your head first down the mountain, and biathlon athletes, all like junior high kids. And I was taking them to say Canada for a training camp over there. I was 22, taking 8 junior high school kids with their coach who didn't speak a lick of English as an interpreter. I was, organizing taxis, buses, airplanes, all that. But it was an experience. I got to learn a lot about sports, how the sports world moves.
How does it work inside these like government bureaus where you're working on these very like official, long extended projects? You mentioned the Olympics for 2030, so planning long in advance because you want those little kids to be fit and qualified for both Olympics then. How does these government offices operate? Like, what is there a typical day? Is there like
a typical? So technically, it is a 9-to-5 job. So I get to work at a 9-to-5 job means I get to work 30 minutes before 8:30, and I work an hour later until 6. But lunch break at 12. Everyone goes to the closest shokudo, as we call it, have a lunch, get back, get to work, clock out at 6. But when an event comes, then you're 24 hours on. One other job we had was hosting a international women's rugby sevens tournament, 7 people rugby. And we had that in Hokkaido, and I was liaisoning between international teams. So like the women's gold medalist team, I was, contacting them, bringing them to Hokkaido and attending to them so they can play at 22 years old. It was a great experience. When the event rolls around, you're on 24 hours, morning to midnight.
And that kind of led you to kind of work in the sports world. And you mentioned rugby sevens, but then also during the Rugby World Cup, which was in Japan 2019, I think. Yes. You kind of continued to work in that field, and you worked directly with the Fiji team, I think.
So after my contract finished at the Hokkaido government.
So it was not a permanent job. It was like
it was just a year contract. The contract finished there. Yeah, there was the gaijin problem, and there was a big problem there that I had to,
get away from.
Yeah, so yeah,
the fly is back. Yeah. It doesn't want to leave the set. It's like I want to listen in on the conversation.
Yeah, but that's a totally another story. All good experiences there. But so I had to leave there. And I was jobless. What am I going to do next? But my philosophy is still the job is going to come to me. And so one of the guys I met through the Rugby Sevens tournament, he said, well, the Rugby World Cup organization is looking for interpreters. Do you want to do it? I'm like, sure, I've got nothing else to do. And I was someone called the official team interpreter. Each team from around the world got one interpreter each. And so I was assigned to the Fiji team. And that was a blast. So I had about 3 months with them. They came before the tournament starts, to get used to the time zone and weather and all that. So I was with them from that time until the last game. And I went from Hokkaido in Sapporo to Miyagi, then, all the way down the island. It was interesting learning different cultures. So an island culture was something new for me.
You grew up on an island?
No.
An island off an island?
The Pacific Island culture is different. So we have onsens in Japan, public baths, and you go in full nude. That's normal. You don't think anything about it. So I'm used to that. The Fijians, they're wanting to go into the onsen. They're not getting full nude. They're going to wear their Speedos, budgie smugglers, as we call them in Aussie. But they're like, you can't do that. They're like, no, but we're not going into the onsen unless we do. I'm like, but culturally, that's long. So I was liaisoning between the hotel and the Fijian team, trying to find a point where we can all agree on. And so at some hotels were easier to work with. They're like, oh, we'll have this hour to this hour for the Fijian team, so you can do whatever you want. You can wear your swimwear into the onsen. But then some onsens are like, absolutely not. And so finding the break point for each person I'm talking to, each organization I'm dealing with, that was another new skill set I learned. But the Fijians are so fun. You're singing because my dad's a missionary, growing up in the church, and the Fijian country is a Christian country. Singing hymns all day long. I actually felt at home with them, and so yeah, that was a good experience.
I can imagine, kind of with a big team.
Man, these guys are 130, 140 kilos.
So you finally met someone who was kind of
and they took me in. I was they have something called a kava, which you all sit in a circle and you drink this ceremonial drink from the kava plant. You take a sip and you pass it along, and it's very ceremonial. And they welcome me in, sit down, and I was drinking kava with them, and it was a good experience. I loved it.
You had this mindset of the job will come to me, and this had happened twice, but they were both kind of temporary.
I'm not done yet.
Yeah. So now you work as a sports MC, but in between that time, you kind of somehow joined the Bachelorette Japan. Season 1, I think it was 2020. Completely unrelated to sports, reality TV show. Yeah. What was did that come to you as well, or was it something?
Okay, so that's one thing I did apply for. So going through university, I was always interested in the entertainment world. I was told I'm a foreigner. Foreigner equals cool or handsome in Japan. And so I was doing little modeling gigs here and there, but graduating university, I always wanted to, fully dive into entertainment, modeling, acting, all that. But you need that first step. Mm-hmm. You can't just dive in. You need something. And so on Netflix, they had a show called Terrace House.
Yes.
I applied for that. I had an interview. I thought I was, going well, but didn't hear back from them, so that didn't happen. And around the same time, the Bachelorette said they're looking for people to join. And I'd watched The Bachelor. I'd watched the American version, Australian version of that as well. I was a university guy who was interested in. It was interesting. And they said they're looking for people to join. I'm like, I'm 23. I'm not from a famous A-class university. I don't have money. I don't have much experience, but why not? And they had an interview of the Bachelorette herself, and like she looks like a nice lady. I wouldn't mind. Like she was 10 years older than me or something. So I didn't think I was gonna get it. I applied, and I got it. I was like, okay, I got on the show. Now what? After the Rugby World Cup finished, I went straight into the recording of The Bachelorette. I didn't go home once. I took the same clothes I was wearing to the Rugby World Cup to The Bachelorette. I am not proud of my fashion sense.
But I want to just dive back a little bit, because you said you applied also for Terrace House and then The Bachelorette. It's a reality TV show, so people apply for the amount of spots that are there. What are they looking for in these candidates? You mentioned interviews. What are you being asked about? And is this like you have, what is your interest in the show? What you're looking to get out of it? What kind of profiles are they looking for?
For The Bachelorette, they're looking for someone who's looking for true love. That's the goal of the show. The last person on the show is going to marry The Bachelorette. At the same time, they're wanting to make an interesting show. The Bachelorette herself has done multiple interviews. She's probably said what her type is, what her previous relationships looked like, who they were. And the show now wants to look for someone who matches. Some guys that match her type, but they also want to bring in different guys to, mix it up. Mm-hmm. And so they're looking for a wide variety of people. And I just happened to be a good match for what they thought would make a good, interesting show.
You said the goal at the end, the winner marries the Bachelorette. You just came out of the World Cup. You said you're 23, and you were looking for a way to maybe get started into modeling and kind of develop your career there. And suddenly you're kind of at the point where you're like, well, I'm joining this, but if I win this, I'm going to get married.
Yep. So my parents got married at 19 and 20. And so I'd grown up looking at them. And so age wasn't a thing for me. I was, if this lady, if she was the one, sure. why not? Was my mentality. But when I applied, I really did not think I was going to get it. I thought, like, why would I be chosen to be on the show? And even if I got on the show, why would I last to the end? But it happened that we had some sort of chemistry, and we started the show with 15 or 16 guys, and I was in the last top 5.
So you went straight into the recording after the
Yeah.
World Cup. How long is that recording period?
For us, there was about 3 months for the longest. So the last 2 who was on the show, they were 3 months. I was about 2.5.
So are you like in a not secluded place, but kind of like in a studio or in a?
No, we were in a secluded place.
Okay.
So for us, we started our recording in Tokyo. Then we went to Okinawa. Then we went to Taiwan International, and then came back to Tokyo. And every time, some people go home, and it was a smaller crowd as the show progresses. But we're always in a hotel somewhere. But we had our phones confiscated, our TVs disconnected. We weren't allowed to have any electronic devices. So there was no music, no game devices, no manga. We were allowed to take novels or books, but that was about it.
That's interesting because so that was 2020.
Yes.
And
the recording was 2019. And then so 2019, October, November, December was recording, and then COVID hit in January.
Because in France, what made the headline was a similar show where the participants were also kind of in a locked house without TV, without access to anything. And then they tried to continue it as far as possible, and suddenly the show was canceled, and the guys came out and like, well, there's a worldwide pandemic, go home, you're on lockdown, you can't.
That's scary. So for us, the recording finished in December, and so we got home, and I'm not sure about this, so don't quote me, but I think the show was supposed to be aired earlier, but because of COVID, it got pushed back. And so we finished recording in December, and it was aired next October.
So what was that experience like for you? You're in this location with all these people.
Yeah.
You are disconnected from the world, and you're being filmed all the time. Whatever you say, however you interact with others, what kind of goes through your mind? How do you experience that?
So the bunch of guys that they got on the show was such a wide variety of different walks of life, different jobs. Because I grew up in Hokkaido and all the previous stories that I just said, I'm used to being the only foreigner. So I got to the recording, and out of the 15, 5 of us had international backgrounds. And that was interesting for me. I was like, wow, there's other gaijins, But just meeting different guys was so interesting, like CEOs, the other models, there's, music-related guys. There's just different variety of people. So getting to know them, I wouldn't have got to know them in my regular life. So that was fun. And then recording itself, like you said, we're always, being recorded. Anything I say could be used. I was so young and naive, I guess. I didn't really think too far. I probably should have. But I was very honest and open and straightforward in what I said. And so in a couple of the scenes, some of the guys said something not nice, unnice, about the Bachelorette, or they were very selfish. And being the 23-year-old, straightforward guy I got really upset. I like, don't say that about her, or like, that is very wrong. Like, I'm very calm right now, but I was very emotional and very angry at the point. And so when the program came out, each guy had a catch copy of their name. So my name was Malachi Evans, and then next to that, I was called the Ikari no Big Baby, which means the angry big baby. I was the youngest there, I was the biggest one there, and I was the angriest one there. So they put that together, and I was the angry big baby.
All right.
But that show catapulted me into a very different world I thought I was going to go. So from there, October it was aired, and the first time ever I left Hokkaido and I moved to Tokyo, chasing the big modeling dream. But camera can't see it right now, but I'm not only 193 centimeters, but I've got size 15 feet or 33 centimeters or
That's
I think it's 50 euro.
I don't know, but 33 centimeters. Yeah,
It's huge.
It's pretty big.
Yeah. And for my size, for a 193 centimeter guy, to have size 33 centimeter, that's huge. And in Japan, it's impossible to buy shoes here. And so
What's the biggest size that you can find in Japan?
30 if you find a 30, you're lucky.
Wow.
But that's still 3 centimeters
So you
too
have to
short.
import all your shoes.
So when I go to America, I buy a bunch and bring them home and wear them over a couple of years. But you can't give a model a job if they don't have your size.
Mm-hmm.
Because, if I'm modeling for Nike and they don't have the shoe they want for me in my size, I can't do it barefoot. And so I got cancelled a couple times in a row. And the reason was you've got too big of feet. I'm like, oh no, what am I going to do? If this is how I start my career, this isn't going to be a very, luxurious modeling career I'd
You might
imagined.
only have a one gig every now and then.
Yeah, if they find shoes for me. So I was like, oh no, what am I going to do? But job's going to come to me. And so I was pretty chilled, pretty laid back. I had one huge gig. I was on a commercial for Honda. And, they pay nice. So I was living off that in Tokyo, but that wasn't going to last me long. So I was starting to see the end of me living in Tokyo and, gonna get back to regular life. And I wanted to meet so many people. I wanted to, get to know different walks of life, get to know different people so I could have a bigger horizon of what jobs I could do. So I was going to different dinner parties and whatnot. And I met a girl at one of the dinners at a yakiniku barbecue restaurant. And she's like, wow, you've got good Japanese. Do you speak English as well? I'm like, I know this. And I do speak English as well. And she's like, wow, okay, here's my business card. I am a part of a voice agency. You've got modeling agencies, then you've got voice agencies. And voice agencies, they've got people that do narrating, voiceovers, MCs, radio DJs, anything to do with voice. And she's like, you should meet my boss. I'm like, sure, I've got nothing else to do. I met the boss. He's like, you've got a nice voice. Do you wanna try MCing? I'm like, sure, why not? And so that was the start of my MCing career. My first job I got was actually for the 2021 Tokyo Olympics for the 3x3 basketball. So 3-person basketball. They have a main court, and they got a main MC. It's a guy called Patrick. He's a super famous sports MC in Japan. He does the main court, and they have a sub court, like a warm-up court. Fans or like regular people can come up right up to the court. And they had an MC there explaining the game, explaining the next country playing, having a chat with the crowd. A very interactive job. And I had that gig. I got the uniform, I got the explanation done. But then right before the Olympics started, they decided to have no guests come. That everything was no guests.
So you were there in the preparation, but then when the event actually was supposed to start, they're like, well, no, we'll remove.
We don't need an MC for a guest if there's no guests.
Yeah.
And so that was my first MC gig gone. I'm like, this is a great start to my luxurious MCing career.
So you were still trying to make it in Tokyo.
I was. And then what happened next was the boss of my agency, he's called Hiro. Hiro used to MC for a basketball team in Sendai. He MC'd for them like for 15 years or something, ever since this team started to quite recent. And he stepped down to focus on management roles in his agency. And a different MC came into the team. But the team didn't really mesh well with the MC that they had.
That's interesting because you would think the MC is maybe part of the stadium and the team is the team.
And so, so the team's a team. Then the front office, the people that create the game, they have a certain image of how they want to,
like the team energy, the
team
vibe.
Exactly. Yes. They want the game to go with this energy, and the MC. I'm not super. I don't know all the details, but I think the MC didn't match the vibe. And so they got back to Hiro and like, can you come back, please? He's like, sorry, I'm not doing this anymore, but I've got a guy in my agency. He's starting out. He doesn't have any experience, but
Flies back.
yeah,
Flies back a third time.
but he can give it a shot. And like, sure, we'll give him the chance. And that was me. And so they introduced me, and that was 4 seasons ago. And I had no idea what I was doing. I knew what a mic was. I knew where the on switch was, and that was it. I didn't know anything else.
I mean, for me, emceeing a sports game, I haven't attended too many, but like, you really have to entertain the crowd. You have to get them to cheer for the team. You have to kind of get them to stay engaged in the game.
So that's interesting, because what the thing is, I've been to sports games before, but you don't really listen to what the MC is saying. Like, sure, it's in the background. You hear him maybe saying that, maybe doing this, but you're not actually paying attention to what he's saying. So he actually does a lot more. He does, anytime there's a change of playing, switching in and out, a player switching in and out. Anytime there's a foul, there's a personal foul call, a team foul call. He's explaining so much, but you're not listening to that. And so when I sat down for my first basketball game, it was a preseason game, they're like, speak. I'm like, what do I speak? And like, do a foul call. I'm like, what is a foul call? I have no idea.
Yeah, because up until now in our conversation, you never really mentioned like you're into basketball or anything like that.
So I did basketball for a year or two in junior high. So I know the rules, and I watch NBA on YouTube, but that's the limit of how much basketball I know. I don't have a slightest of clue what the MC is saying. And so the floor director is sitting next to me. He's saying one thing in my ear, and I have to just repeat that like a parakeet. So he's like that. And so this is my first basketball game. I'm super nervous. I'm just getting the hang of everything. The season starts. We're in the Division 2 basketball league in Japan. And the first year I started, we finished second place. And from next season, we bumped up to B1.
Mm-hmm.
It's unofficial, but I am the youngest. I was the youngest arena MC for a B1 team.
Wow.
And so I'm a flexible guy. I like thinking on my feet. And so this job, I'm getting the hang of it. I'm enjoying it. And sports, working with sports in the past, I knew I wanted to work in sports. I didn't know what I could do in sports, but I think at the time I was thinking, I have found my job. This is it. The first 2 seasons, I'm nervous. I'm still getting the hang of it, and there's so much I'm doing during the game. I'm watching the shot clock. I'm watching the 3 referees. I'm watching the ball. I'm watching the crowd. I'm watching the score. There's so much to do. Foul calls, all this. So, but after the second season, third season, I've gotten used to it. I'm like, I gotta move. I can't sit down. And like, Malachi, go for it. So they gave me a wireless mic, and from there, I haven't sat down through a basketball game. I'm walking the entire game, up and down the aisles, telling. So
you're on the court for the basketball?
Or not on the court. I'm in the stands.
But it's not like you're in a stadium or in like a back office in a.
No. So my seat is right next to the court. But during the game, I'm going up to fans and like, you say defense, like, come on, get everyone hyped. Like, I'm a hype man, and I'm loving this. But just basketball alone doesn't pay the bills. You've got 6 months, you've got 30 games a year. That's not going to pay for 12 months.
30, so it's like 30 home games.
30 home games. So there's 60 total games, and out of that, half is played at home. So only 30 games a year. It's not paying the bills. I still got to work. So I'm working different jobs, office jobs, pay the bill. But I knew I found my gig, my
sports MC, but it's like, I need more sports.
Yeah, I need more sports. I need more jobs. So 2 seasons finished there. And in my hometown in Hokkaido, I was born and raised in a city called Kita Hiroshima. A new baseball park opened up. It's called Escon Field Hokkaido. Our local professional baseball team, the Hokkaido Nippon Fighters, were using a third sector dome in Sapporo, the Sapporo Dome, but they wanted their own place. So after years of searching, they found a place. They took, I think from start to finish, it was about 10 years of planning and construction. And the place they chose and built was a 10-minute walk from my home. and my parents still live there. I've just started sports emceeing. So in my head, I'm like, someday I'm gonna MC here. Someday I'm gonna be an announcer here. The first year it opened, the stadium itself is open 365 days, and so my parents and I, the three of us, we went to a restaurant in the food court in the Escon field. We're sitting down minding our own businesses, and then a guy in a suit, a couple guys in a suit were drinking and eating a couple tables down. One of the guys came over here and in very broken English said, "Where are you from?"
Down the street.
Yeah, well, so my dad was about to answer. I'm like, "Dad, leave it up to me. I've been to enough events that this conversation opener, this is my ballpark. Leave it to me." It's like, I was actually born in this city. And like, wow, okay, what do you do for work? I'm like, I'm a sports MC. I do basketball MC for a team down south. And like, oh, he gave me his business card, and on it said he's from Hokkaido Nippon Fighters, and he is the top executive for the entertainment department. And I'm like,
the job will come to you.
Yeah, I'm getting goosebumps just thinking about it right now. But I'm like, yeah, okay, sure. So he said we've already have a DJ, the stadium DJ. He's been doing us for 10 years now. So there's nothing I can offer you this season, but maybe in the future. I'm like, this is the first step. This is where it comes from. It's gonna come from here. And so I go home, send him a thank you email, and like, maybe in the future we can do something together. That was March of 2023. Basketball season finishes in May, the first week of May. The second week of May, he sends me an email and says, "Otsukare-sama" for your basketball season, which means, how do you translate "Otsukare-sama" in English?
Like thank you for your hard work.
Yeah,
thank you for
good work on the last season at the previous season at your basketball team. Mm-hmm. I'm like, thank you. It's like, would you want to come to a baseball game and get the feel of a baseball game? This is a very Japanese way of communicating. They're not straightforward. So I have no clue what he was asking. In my head, this is a top exec guy inviting me to a baseball game. I thought I was going to sit in the Diamond Seat Lounge and mm-hmm. enjoy a baseball game, right? Class S seats. I get there. He ushers me through the back to the room next to where the stadium DJ is speaking. He's like, "Wait here." I'm like, what on earth is happening? And another important looking guy comes, and then a tech guy with mics and speakers and headphones comes with him, and they start setting up. I'm like, what is happening? And it's like the baseball game's happening in front of us. It's like, no one will hear this. This isn't being announced anywhere, but can you talk? I'm like, what do you want me to talk? He says, call the players out, like do an introduction. I'm like, the same. I've never seen a baseball game and listen to what the MC is speaking. And it's like, sure, okay, I'll give it a shot. And making up on the way. In Japanese, I'm like, 1番, Raido, Manami Chuse. I'm like, okay. Do it in English. I'm like, I don't know what they say in English. Sure, okay. Batting first at right field, Chuse Manami. And they like started talking to each other. I'm like, what on earth is happening? And they turn around and said, this is May. They said, are you open from July for Saturday, Sundays? I'm like, for what? Like, do you want to be the stadium DJ? I'm like, I don't think this is how it happens. Like, I got to call my manager. So my manager lives in Tokyo. He flies up to Hokkaido the very next day, and there.
Because you're under contract with the agency, right? So you can't just say by yourself.
Yeah. And I've made mistakes in the past with contracts and getting paid and all. I'm very Japanese in that I can't ask for money. So mm-hmm. I leave that to my manager. He does everything for me. But so he flies up, has a talk with them, finalizes the contract. I met this guy in March. I saw a baseball game in May, and from July, for every Saturday, Sunday game for the rest of the season, I'm the stadium DJ. So there was there's 13 games left in that season on a Saturday, Sunday. I don't know what to say. And so the guy sitting next to me, the stadium DJ that's been doing it for 10 years, sitting next to me, he says one thing, and I say it. One thing, and say it. And I did that for 13 games. Season finishes, it's the off season,
You go back to basketball.
I go back to basketball. I don't know what's happening for the next season. I'm waiting. My manager calls and said, "You're the new stadium DJ for the Hokkaido Nippon Fighters." I'm like, okay, sure, let's do it. But mind you, I've never, for 13 games, I've had someone sit next to me and tell me what to say. Baseball is very different to basketball.
I was going to ask how different it is to MC those two sports. One is a very fast paced and a lot of things are happening. The other one is a lot of downtime. The games last 4 or 5 hours.
Yes. So the biggest difference is the crowd size. Probably a lot of people around the world know baseball is big in Japan. We got Ohtani Shohei, whatnot. A basketball game in Japan, the crowd size is about 5,000 people on average. A baseball game, the average crowd size is 35,000.
Oh, okay, that's like 6 times.
Yeah, it's big.
7 times. I can't do math.
Yeah, I've given up on math. It's big. So a lot more people come. And sports itself, yes, it's very different. Basketball is roughly 2 hours, fast paced, non-stop. You know, everyone's like, defense, let's go, the whole time. That's fun. In baseball, you've got the top of the inning, you've got the bottom of the inning, and Japanese way of cheering a baseball game is very different to any other country in the world. They have they have a brass band that leads the cheering. They've got set cheer songs for set athletes. In a chance position, they've got a set song. Like everything's decided. Mm-hmm. And then for the MC side, they're very strict on when and what the stadium DJ can say. But the Hokkaido Nippon Fighters is an interesting team. They want to change the baseball in Japan in a good way. The baseball in Japan is it's an old sport. It's been around since the Second World War, before the Second World War. The Japanese like to stick to what they know. They don't want to do something new. The fighters is different. They want to try new. They want to make it more entertainment. Of course, baseball is important. People are coming to watch baseball, but people are coming to be entertained. We want to make this entertaining. The one reason they asked me to become the stadium DJ is because I can speak 2 languages. They want to make it a major league feel. I'm Aussie. I speak an Aussie accent. They don't care about that. Put that aside. But so during the game, I'm using both languages. There's certain things in the rule book that have to be said in Japanese. There's certain things in the rule book that have to be said. Those things that don't have to be Japanese, I do in English. So when a player changes, when a pitcher changes, this is what I actually say. ファイターズのピッチャーの交代をお知らせします。宮西に代わりまして、池田。And now, pitching for the Fighters, number 52, Takahide Ikeda. And so, things I need to say in Japanese are said in Japanese. Everything else I do in English, in my PA announcer voice. And people don't understand 100% of what I say, but they get the emotions, they get hyped.
Makes it feel like a major league.
Yes, and that's what baseball. They want, their out-of-world feeling, their out-of-Japan feeling. And so those two matched the team, what they wanted, what I could provide matched. And I'm in the middle of my second full season right now.
You just did that announcer voice.
Yeah.
It's very peculiar, right? The way you pace, the way you accentuate. Is it something you had to practice a lot? Is it something you watched how maybe foreign announcers in the US do it for baseball and try to emulate and adjust your voice, your tone? How much work was that?
So going back to basketball, when I first started basketball, I talked to my manager, I talked to the team. I don't know basketball. I haven't watched a lot. I don't know what the MC is saying. Should I go to different teams and watch the MC speak and learn what they say? And they told me, don't go to any other sports, any other basketball teams for now. Find your voice. Find what you want. Find the energy you want. Find the emotions you want to portray. Find the atmosphere you want to create. Find yours. Don't copy anyone. Be you. I'm like, okay. I'm like, sure. So after 2 seasons doing that, I finally went to a different basketball game and see how everyone was doing and whatnot. But the same for baseball. I didn't ask. I already knew what they wanted. They wanted Malachi. They didn't want a emulation or a copy of another famous DJ. They wanted Malachi to create the environment, the atmosphere. And so, no, I didn't go and watch anything or learn anything else. I watched the crowd and I studied the crowd and I learned how to control a crowd and different cues.
You said earlier you like to interact with them. You like to move, to stand. So you got that wireless mic for the basketball team. And you're sitting there, next to the bench, next to the people. You can interact with them. For baseball, you mentioned you're kind of up there in the DJ booth. Behind a glass window maybe, and you are looking out on the stadium, but you can't go up to the fans. You're not part of the crowd. You're kind of observing and announcing and have to follow strict rules. How do you manage that?
So that was a big learning curve for me. So I'm used to basketball. I love the basketball energy, walking around, getting to know everyone. Baseball, I'm cooped up in this little DJ booth far from everyone. But the window is overlooking everyone, so I can see. And the distance between me and the closest fan is probably like 2 meters. They're right beneath me. And it's a 35,000 crowd, so it's a huge stadium. Like, people over there smaller than ants and all that. But the first season, especially with the guy sitting next to me, trying to remember what to say and how to say and all the rules and what, I could not look up and see the emotions. But after the second year, I think the middle of the second year, finally getting used to it, can say the words that I have to say without thinking, I finally was able to look up and see how much I was actually controlling 35,000 people. For the name Takahide Ikeda, do I go Takahide Ikeda or do I go Takahide Ikeda? Looking at the crowd, I could actually see a difference in the way I was saying different things. And I'm an emotional guy. I like emotions. I think it's healthy for people to bring out their emotions. And Japan is a country that they don't do that. Japan is a very inward country. A lot of people can't bring their emotions out.
Especially further north in Hokkaido, where it's cold and the people are
very closed people emotionally as well. But for me, that's a challenge. I want to bring that emotions out. Of course, the baseball team, the guys, what they're doing is the focus. But I want to be the salt for the game itself, the entertainment side. I think me saying Takahide Ikeda or me saying Takahide Ikeda, everyone's going to react different. And I can create the environment, create the entertainment for the baseball team. And I learned that after I was finally able to look up from the paper in front of me and look at the crowd. And it actually amazes me how obvious the crowd is. Especially starting out, I was like, tried something and they didn't like it. And I knew they didn't like it. I was like, yep, scratch that, not doing that. But working through that, listening to myself, I record most of the game on a camera and look back and compare it to how I was feeling at the time, how I sound through the mics. I just found my PA voice.
Do you get to interact with the players and kind of get information from them and kind of work with them to kind of what they want to share, also how they want to entertain their game?
I get that question a lot, and sadly, no, I don't get to interact that much with the team. I'm very far from the field. Before the game starts in their warm-up, sometimes I, sneak into the dugout and, say, "Otsukaresama desu," konnichiwa, "Hi, good luck with your game" to the players. But I don't get to talk much. But the players relay through the team of how they want me to say certain things, or because the players can choose their walk-off song. Okay.
So like every time the new game starts and they get on the pitch.
So for the pitcher, every time the first time they get onto the mound, their song plays. For a batter, every time they go into the batting box, their song plays.
Oh, every time. So not just when they go out on the field the first time at the beginning of the game.
Every time. So for some players, they get 5 times, 6 times of their song, and I announce their name with their song. Mm-hmm. It's very obvious of what kind of emotions the players want to portray through their song. Some players have got an upbeat, high tempo Latin song, I match that vibe. So we've got a player called Framil Reyes, and he plays a Latin vibe song. So when I say his name, I'm dancing in the DJ booth, going along with what he wants to portray or how he wants to walk on. Then there's some players who want to settle. They want to calm their emotions. And so there's one picture that plays A Whole New World from Aladdin. I'm sorry, that's difficult to, I'm the hype man. So it's difficult to announce, but that's what he wants. And so I match the song. So I don't get to contact directly with the players, but I get a feel of what they want or how they want through their song they choose.
Now that you've done this kind of stadium emceeing for a while in two different sports leagues, do you really notice, or are you able to describe the vibes of the different stadiums across Japan when you kind of now notice or talk maybe with your peers and like, oh, the Hanshin Tigers, they've got this kind of energy. Nippon Fighters, this is us. And then if you go to Fukuoka, you know what to expect in terms of atmosphere? Or
I went to Kyocera Dome to see the Oryx play. I went to Meiji Jingu to see the Swallows play. And I went to Rakuten Miyagi to see the Eagles play. I want to see, like you said, how the fans react, because it's very different culturally for each team of how they cheer a team on for a baseball game. I don't talk much with other DJs, so I don't know what they're doing unless I go myself. If there's like a phrase they use, like, oh, that's a good phrase of saying, then I copy that. But I don't copy how they say it. But I do enjoy looking at and listening to how they hype their team up. And it's very different to what I do. Other DJs do mix English in, but not as much as I do. It's very different. I enjoy it. But yeah.
So you've done this for a few years now. Clearly an important role because you entertain the audience who cheers the team and who gives the team energy to kind of play well in the field. And you said this is kind of your calling. You want to do this more. How do you see this career developing? What kind of opportunities can you get? What kind of positive changes can you create in that field?
Little side story. Along with all this, I mentioned before about emotions and how it affects the health. I had a very low point, a dark point in my life, where physically, mentally, emotionally, spiritually, I was very low. And I knew this wasn't good. I needed to get out of it. And so I took a course, a 1-year course, and learned something called health coaching. 4 parts: physical, emotional, mental, and spiritual. Those 4 are connected. You can't have one declining and still be healthy. They all have to be, they're all equally important. And so learning that, bringing myself back out of that dark point, and understanding how emotions, along with the other 3, are important, is something lacking in the Japanese culture, in the Japanese people. And so through sports emceeing, or through sports itself, I want more people to be more emotionally there. I want
to be present in the stadium, to release their energy during the game and not feel shy about cheering for their favorite player or team.
Exactly. And so, sure, I'm a sports MC. Sorry, I want to continue sports emceeing. I want to, do international games. I want to, do new sports. I love not just basketball, baseball. I love any sport. I enjoy doing it and whatnot. But at the end of the day, I want to leave a positive impact on the health of Japanese people. And I think I can do that through sports. And I enjoy doing it through sports.
One of the ways you've been doing this as well is you've actually recorded your announcements a lot and started posting this on social media and kind of gathered quite a bit of a following of fans of the fighters, but also fans across Japan that kind of
I reached 100K followers. Thank you.
In a relatively fast, I think, as well.
Sorry?
Relatively fast as well.
Yeah, no.
So there is an audience that you're reaching with your emceeing, not only in the stadium, but beyond. Has this given you sort of new interaction with the fans or the sport itself?
Yeah, definitely. So I mentioned this before. The reason I started recording was to listen back to what I was doing. So I've had these interviews before, why did you become the Fighters DJ, and like what what are you thinking of, thinking about when you do a DJ call, or what are you focusing on when you want to bring the emotions out of people? And I could not answer those questions because I didn't know. I was feeling the moment. I was just doing how I felt. Um, how I felt was right. How I felt was emotional. And so I was like, I need to understand what I'm doing. I don't know what I'm doing that makes it good. And so I started recording myself and like, oh, so this time, because, the bases were loaded, we were 2 points down, we needed an energy boost. That's why I waited 2 seconds here rather than when I always, go straight into it. I left that gap. That way people are, this kind of emotion. Like I was studying myself to understand what I was doing without thinking so I could do it thinking to make it even better. Make sense?
It's interesting because I asked you a couple of times about kind of looking at what other stadium DJs are doing, and you always answered by saying, I was told to, and also I chose not to look too much at what others are doing. But you mentioned now a few times how you kind of record yourself and study yourself and analyze your own emceeing over that of other people.
Yeah. So I don't want to, be rude or, put other DJs down, but I don't know if other DJs are wanting to do it as emotionally as I'm doing it. The direction I want to go with the emceeing, I think I'm the front runner.
Mm-hmm.
And so I want to study myself to understand myself so I can become better.
So it's good that the Nippon Ham fighters are also open to kind of changing up things a little bit.
Yeah.
With these changes, where do you see the team, the atmosphere, and the emceeing going in the next couple of years with the fighters in terms of what you are able to create at the what is it called? Econ Stadium?
Escon
Field. What can fans expect there in the near future that will make it worthwhile to go watch their game and not come to watch a game at another?
Go to any sports field and be emotional. That's what I do want to say. But what we offer at Escon Field that is different is it's not just the voice. We've got the screens, we've got the lights, we've got the music, we've got everything in one smooth connection. A lot of baseball fields, especially the old ones, the screen, this part has the BSO, the ball strikes out.
Mm-hmm.
This part has the sponsors. This part has the photo of the player. This part, so it's all divided. Yeah. Our screen, new tech, all that, anything can be placed anywhere. And so we've got a video running of the players at one point, then it switches to the sponsors, and that connected with my voice. And so I'm watching the screen, making sure it's all smoothly, seamlessly connected. And so for entertainment wise, there's probably not a single, not just baseball, but any basketball, any sport, any arena, stadium that is entertainment wise on point as we are.
You have also recently done emceeing a little bit with the kids.
Ah, yeah.
Brought them into the stadium. I was curious about this because I saw it was kind of unique for young children to have the opportunity on a live game to just make announcements. When you started out, you had someone telling you what to say, and now you were there with the kids. Is that a way for you to kind of get the younger generation already excited about?
So what that was, every year, we've got a long holiday at the beginning of May called the Golden Week in Japan, and one of those days of one of the public holidays there is a day called Kids Day, Kodomo no Hi. And every year on Kodomo no Hi or around Kodomo no Hi, the fighters, they choose a lot of kids to experience different jobs at Escon Field, including, some could be delivering food, some could be tearing off tickets at the front gate, some are security, some are like firefighters to experience.
Some of them sound clearly more interesting than others.
Are you familiar with Kidzania?
No.
So Kidzania is I think it's around the world. There's a theme park in Tokyo, I think it was, where kids can go, and it's a nation created by kids. So you've got the post office run by kids. You've got it's like a experience the adult world.
So that's the concept.
Yeah. So they had a tie up with the fighters, and they did that at Escon Field. And one of the jobs the kids could experience was stadium DJ. So they chose 9 stadium DJs for the day, kids DJs for the day, and every inning they got to try out what the stadium DJ does. Through Instagram, in growing amount of followers that follow me, a lot of kids watch me as well. And when I announce a person's name, a player's name, I do not do it the Japanese way. I am very no other DJ in Japan does calls a name like I do, which is good because people can mimic me. It's very easy to mimic what I do, and I'm very happy being mimicked. It's an honor for people to do what I like, copy me. And so we've got these kids coming in, and until now, like they've done this every year for 20 years since they've come to Sapporo, basically. And every year they've had kids come and they call a name. But since me coming in last year, especially this year, kids come in, they sit down and say, DJ Malachi, can I copy you? Like, I haven't said anything. Like, I don't want kids, coming in like, you copy me. I'm like, I don't do that. They come in and say, can I copy you? I'm like, sure, why not? And so the kids, like Framil Reyes, I always call the designated hitter, Framil Reyes. And these kids come in, these little, 6-year-olds, 7-year-olds, they can't speak English, but they're like, Framil Reyes. And like the crowd loves them, the announcer with me, she loves them, the whole entertainment team, they're, laughing their heads off joyously. They're like happy. But that's how much I've become a part of the team. And like there was one kid that came, and the word designated hitter is a difficult English word, even for an English speaker. So we always teach the kids to say shime dasha, the Japanese word for it. But he's like, can I copy you? And I'm like, sure, you can. I wasn't expecting it. And he's like, designated hitter. I'm like, wow, that is amazing. And so he's like sitting on the mic in front of 35,000 people, which is nerve-wracking for a 10-year-old especially. He's like, batting force, designated hitter. And I'm like, wow. But learning that, looking at that, I can see how much of an impact I'm leaving. My job is to call the players and entertain the crowd. And if kids are mimicking you, I think you're doing something right. And it's funny, on the TV or on the radio, they've got the sportscasters doing what do you call it? Kaisetsu.
Sort of explaining the game. Yeah.
And they've started
commentary.
Thank you. Japanese is first language. There's commentators that have started to mimic what I do on live TV. I'm like, I think I'm doing something right here, for an entertainment aspect. If people are, especially kids and commentators, are starting to copy you.
You set out to Tokyo to make a career in modeling, and now have your voice recognized across Japan, back home at the stadium down the street. You said you hope to maybe also MC on international games, maybe other sports. So what can we expect from you next? What are your next plans? You've got a few seasons, I think, planned. Baseball is finishing up relatively soon, and basketball will start again.
Yep.
But I can imagine you already have thoughts in your mind about what you want to do next.
So this all goes back to the initial conversation we had. I think the perfect job for me will come to me. And I get asked often, what is your goal? What is your end goal here? What is your dream? And sure, calling out the Hokkaido Nippon Fighters have won the series. We're number 1 in Japan. Calling that out, sure, is a dream for me. I would love to do that. The Sendai 89ers are the champions, sure. But I think the way I've lived my life until now, I'm doing something right for me. And so continuing to live that way, I think will take me places I can't even imagine. Because I could not imagine myself sitting here talking to you about how and where I've come from to what I'm doing now a couple of years ago. And the key phrase that I've kept telling myself for the past, probably since university, 10 years, is 昨日のマラカイよりも今日のマラカイ、今日のマラカイよりも明日のマラカイ、一日ずつ良くなる. In English, today's Malachi more than yesterday's Malachi, and tomorrow's Malachi more than today's Malachi, every day becoming a little better. And so every job I've done from university, from cafe, Costco, the Hokkaido government, well, Bachelorette was a different
Rugby
direction.
World Cup as well.
But Rugby World Cup, and I've kept stepping up. And I'm enjoying the life I'm living right now. I couldn't have decided. I don't think there's a single job out there currently that I would enjoy more, but I don't know every job out there. And I've got no plans of leaving the job I have now, and I want to continue this for a very long time. But the best job for me is going to come to me.
So if you're around Hokkaido listening to this and want to hear a little bit of your emceeing, maybe stop by the Escon field and have a look. Enjoy the games of the Nippon Ham Fighters with DJ Malachi in the booth. Thank you so much for coming down all the way. Sharing your story was super interesting to learn about your story, but also about emceeing sports here in Japan. Is there something we didn't really cover that maybe you would have liked to bring up today? Something I didn't ask?
If you're in Hokkaido, I'm also got my own radio show on FM Northwave 82.5. I've got Instagram. Look me up at Big Malachi, BIGMALACHI.
We'll put all your links in the description so people can reach out and kind of listen to you, see your work a little bit. You're sharing quite regularly, so there's a lot of interesting and fun content. Entertainment,
emotions, healthy living. I think that's the thing I want to share the most, and hope everyone is more emotional. And sports is a lovely and great way to
release
it. Yes.
Malachi, thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you everyone for listening and watching. This was Unpacking Japan, and we'll be back in the next episode. Bye.
Sayonara.
Thank you so much for joining us today. I hope you enjoyed this episode as much as I did. Please hit the subscribe button so you don't miss out on future conversations. And we'd love to hear from you. Share your thoughts in the comment section down below. And if you enjoyed this episode, here are a couple more that we think you'll enjoy. Thanks again for your support, and we'll see you next time.